So today is our second Saturday for the spring semester. Thank you all to those who are joining us today, and thank you to those who joined us this past Wednesday. It was a very good, like Dr. Sanchez was saying. I mean, we're having a Zoom meeting about Zoom fatigue, so she tried to keep it not, a lot of information, just to, don't want to have a dilemma with the presentation and what we're talking about. But thank you to those that will be made available on our YouTube and our website. So just go ahead and rewatch that. But today for Lyceum, we'll be having Ms. Hernandez do the Cajita project. Those that attended our summer program last summer, I mean, you know what that was. We had fun doing it, and we're going to do it again because it ties with our speaker, what Ms. Martinez mentioned. So the breakdown for today will be Lyceum 9 to 9:40 with Ms. Hernandez, a small break from 9:45 to 9:55. Then we'll resume with Terry Chavez from 10, and then a small break, and then Dr. Sanchez will be closing us off. Any questions, concerns before we begin? Thank you all for joining. Good morning.
Hey,
Y'all,
everyone.
y'all awake?
Yes.
Okay, one is awake. Okay, I'm gonna turn it over to Ms. Hernandez, and I'll stop sharing and allow her to share her PowerPoint.
I don't know if Mr. Douglas, you said you wanted to say good morning, so I don't know if you want to do that before I get started.
Oh, yes, ma'am. I just want to say good morning, everyone. Good to see you all. Glad everybody made it through the snowmageddon. We're still here supporting you all, loving on you all, but more importantly, guiding you all. So again, let's have time. Let's have a great time with Ms. Hernandez this morning and look forward to seeing you all soon. They have a real special announcement that you're going to hear about today. Thank you.
Before we begin, I think Maria, you're muted. Students, if you all could go and find 3 to 5 objects. If you don't have those objects with you, you can do Google Images and just have them like on a Word document, PowerPoint, whatever it is. If you're not if you're on your phone, that's okay. If you know what the three objects are, if you could just have those in mind, so whenever we kind of start sharing, we are able to know and you're able to describe.
Sorry, I was having technical difficulties with Zoom. I'm always trying to navigate it. But yes, thinking about sort of these objects, right? It's just things that are um, that you see that are relevant to your person or who you are or the many identities that we all hold, right? It doesn't have to be like Ms. Martinez said, if you don't have them, that's okay. But we just wanted you to start grabbing items that sort of are key to either your everyday or are key to sort of you, or items that you're like, when I think about this item, like it brings me happiness because it reminds me of XYZ, right? Just starting to think about the ways that objects can sort of begin to represent things about our identity, about our being, or about our personhood. And of course, we're going to go through more of the project as we go, and we're going to have some examples. I'm going to sort of share with you how I'm beginning to do this project because we'll be doing this project with you. And so I'll give y'all like a few more minutes to grab something if y'all are going to grab something. Right now, it's not super crucial that you have like solidified items, right? If you show me something today, it doesn't mean that it has to be in your little cajita, which means box in Spanish. Like you won't have to include that like for that final project. So right now it's just sort of brainstorming, getting a feel for the project so that we can utilize it later down the road. Can y'all see the PowerPoint? Like, is it on the screen? Okay, good. And just Ms. Martinez, let me know when you want me to sort of get started so that we can give them enough time to get the items, but then also just, yeah.
Yeah, I think if students can give everybody a thumbs up reaction on their picture icon, so we know we're good to go. We'll give everybody a minute and a half. Again, these items can be pictures, symbolic items, like it can be anything that represents it. I know we did it in the summer, so some of you all may have the same items. That's totally fine. We can switch it up whenever we actually complete this project. But there is, I want students to pay attention to this project and then also pay attention to Mr. Terry Chavez's presentation and how this connects with this project. And not only that, but it'll also kind of overlap with Dr. Sanchez's presentation on imposter syndrome regarding identity and then spaces. So there is a purpose behind this project. There is a purpose for what we have you doing. It's not just like a busy project, but it'll be really exciting, and then you're really going to open up about other people's identity, learn more about other cultures, connect with students. So there is a purpose behind all this. All right, 30 more seconds. Everyone's. All right, Miss Bianca's ready. All right, Mr. Hernandez, you can go ahead and start.
Yeah. So sort of the history behind the Cajita projects comes from this area of study called ethnic studies. And when we think about ethnic studies, it's sort of this field that really focuses on, right, very obvious like ethnicity. Is there anybody that can tell me sort of the difference or what ethnicity is before we get started, before I tell y'all? Maybe if somebody wants to just take a guess, or if you know, let me know. I know that there's probably things in the slide that already give you hints as to what it is. But if anybody wants to share or let me know, and I'll like see if anybody unmutes their mic. And anybody can go. Give it like oh, maybe I should look at the chat because y'all can put it on the chat too. Okay, yes. So yes, Jennifer, it is related to culture, right? Ethnicity has to do with sort of this idea of like where we come from, right? The histories, the peoples, the cultures, the languages, all of these things that sort of make up like who we are when we think of ourselves like ethnically, right? And like Jennifer said, that includes culture, right? Like I said, language, cuisine, all of these different things are analyzed within ethnic studies, right? To see sort of patterns or to see sort of how customs, culture changes, right? Ethnic studies is really worried or really concerned about this idea of like, how is ethnicity changing? What is ethnicity? How does ethnicity look like, right? How does it manifest within like when we think about social media or popular culture? So ethnic studies is this really, really broad range of study, right? I myself, in undergrad, I did a lot of ethnic studies work. So to me, it's work that's very personal because it involves your identity and who you are and where you come from. But it also, because of the fact that it's so grounded in who you are, it's very rewarding work, right? So the Cajita project sort of comes at, or it was coined by Professor Pulido, and Cajita itself means box in Spanish. So it's a little box. There is a tradition within Latin America where the cajita sort of became this art form. The box became an art form where people were saving and sort of archiving, right, preserving things that were very sacred to them, right? So these things would include dried up flowers, right, that were commemorated because of a loss of a family member or because of like marriage, right? Or the cajita also had other stuff, right, that were sacred or like important iconography in Latin American culture. But it was like a small box or a big box. Usually it's a small like aluminum box. Like think about like the Altoids box, and people would put little stuff in there to sort of give you a story, and share with you sort of these sacred or precious artifacts that have to do with either an experience or a time in their lives, right? So Professor Pulido sort of shares that when we think about the Cajita project, and when she does the Cajita projects with students, we really have to think about sharing your story, right? Who you are, right? I feel like I've said this, like Ms. Martinez said, right? When she, like with Ms. Pulido, or when Professor Pulido encourages students to create, or when creating this project, she asked students for something called an artifact, right? Maybe, so taking it away from this idea of a sacred item, right? But more of an artifact, right? Something that is either family photos or jewelry or religious items, food, candles, right? Different artifacts or things around you, right? In your material world that can begin to tell a story of who you are to other people. It doesn't have to be directly, right, very obvious to us, right? Because still part of this Cajita project is sort of also this honoring of sacred tradition and storytelling, right? There is a part of the Cajita project where you are sharing your story and you are verbally or orally engaging in sort of the exchange of stories of who you are with other people, and similar other people will share to you. So that's sort of the goal, right? For us to share with each other things that are artifacts that are key to who we are, or that tell you something about my story, and then engage with one another in learning about different cultures, right? Our many different identities, right? Culture, language, food, or other items, right? The goal here is to really begin to get to know your fellow upward bound, like classmates or right friends in a different way than you haven't, right? So this is taking us away from sort of just thinking about upward bound as academics, but really beginning to think about upward bound as this exchange between our many differences, right? So that's sort of the history. And there, of course, like at the bottom, we talk about how the Cajita project is related to El Día de los Muertos. But here our focus more is sort of in this tradition of storytelling and the creation of something that is like a symbol of you. Okay. So the goal here, and this is sort of more of the specifics of the project that we want y'all to do. We will be creating, all of us here, we will be creating and presenting our little boxes or our cajitas on March 27th, which is our in-person session. If you haven't heard about it, or if you don't follow us on Instagram, right? Our goal is to create an in-person session where you will be coming onto our campus, reminiscing on the days pre-COVID, right? We are returning or trying to bring back some sort of in-person Saturday academy that has very different workshops, or a series of 5 workshops that y'all will be able to engage in throughout the day. And one of those will be the Cajita project. And our goal is to sort of, when you get here, you give us your little cajitas and we'll put them out sort of like a gallery space, right? If y'all have ever gone to like an art museum, our goal is to sort of mimic that space. And within the session, right, the goal is for the people or the students within that session to then be like, this is my box. This is the story behind my box. People can ask questions, and then similar will go on and on until all the students within that session are done. But as far as the actual box or the cajita, so you can include or find 5 to 6 items that represent your culture, heritage, identity, right? Family, religion, if that's something that is important to you, right? And these artifacts, similar to spoken about before, can be pictures, jewelry, objects, flowers, candles, really anything that you can think that represents you, right? And I'm going to share sort of the way that I conceptualize myself going through this project so that you can sort of see how to sort of begin to think about how to create this. And the box itself can be a shoe box, can be any type of box that you see fitting what you want to do. Also, if you want to create a physical box and you don't have access to one, please let us know so that I can send one over your way. We don't want there to be like, for you to feel like, oh, I can't participate because I don't have access to materials. If you need access to any materials, please let me know and I can send you over those materials, because we don't want that to be the reason that you don't participate. But also, if you don't want to create something physical, you can create a virtual box, right? So some of the platforms that I would recommend creating this on is Canva. Canva is super easy, or I would say easier than sort of using like Adobe Illustrator or something, right? You can do a virtual box, or even like if you don't want to create, you want to create something physical, but you don't want it to be in a box form, you can create sort of a collage style type poster board. So it's really up to you. What we really want to honor, right, is this idea of sharing artifacts that tell us something about you, that tell us a story about you, who you are, so that you can begin to share that with with your Upward Bound peers. Oh, this is not turning. Okay. And Ms. Martinez, I don't know if you're
Yes.
there, but these are sort of, I don't know if this is your cajita. Yeah, this is her.
Yes, I can talk about mine really quick. So this assignment was assigned in one of my grad courses by one of my professors. She was awesome. So this class was on cultural pluralism in higher education. And so we did this project. Normally it's done in person, but because we were virtual, we had to create our cajita. So as you all can see, it isn't like your typical, I kind of went into this abstract mode. I wanted to incorporate, I saw this at Dollar Tree, it was $1. And it had multiple sections. And I thought it was great because there's different, I guess, compartments to my life and to my identity. So if you can see, I have some of the items. My nephew ended up taking my cajita and using it for his action figures. But I recorded a 13-minute video. We were required to have 6 to 9 objects that represented who we are as a person. And so the very top picture, if you all are on your phone or on your computer, that is a picture of me, my dad and my sister. And so that represents me, my family, my immediate family, my nuclear family. And then I included I painted on an American and a Mexican flag because my parents are from Mexico, they're immigrants. I was born here in the United States. From my immediate family, I'm the only one. So that is a huge part of my identity, being first generation American, but also first generation college student, has shaped who I was. To the bottom right, you can see the little cactuses. I don't know why I just painted those, but I just thought they fit with the theme. There is no significance behind those, but there is a rosary. And so that rosary, I'm not really as religious as I used to be, but the rosary represents the Catholic religion in my family. We grew up as Catholics. My mom grew up as a Catholic, but it is also an important object to me. That was the rosary that my aunt made that rosary for my grandfather's funeral when they did, I don't know how to explain it in English because I can't think of the term right now, but I know there's a tradition, or there's like this thing where when somebody dies in your family, there's like 7 days of prayer in the household. So that was the one for my grandfather's funeral, his service. So I keep that. On the top left, you can see, you probably can't see that one. I wish I had, that was a screenshot of the video that I recorded. There's a picture of my grandparents from my mom's side. And so that one represents just, that one, I don't know why I threw it in there, but I feel like they're a part of me growing up in the United States. I could never visit my grandparents until like age 15. And my parents cannot travel to Mexico. So it was almost like I grew up with no grandparents until age 15, and then I lost my grandfather like immediately after. So that was a way to honor them. My mom, I feel like she passed down a lot of good traits for my grandparents: work ethic, humbleness, just being good people. If you see at the bottom, the yellow with the writing says "Ponte las pilas." And that was a saying that I've heard from my mother my entire life. And I'm sure a lot of other students, and even across cultures, there's different ways of saying this, but you basically tell your kids, get it together, like be smart, like don't play. And so that's something that has always been told my entire life by my mom. And so every time I'm at a low point, I'm like, you know what, necesito ponerme las pilas. Like, this is, I need to get it together. Like, it's okay for me to be down, but I need to get back up. So I wanted to honor my mother in that sense, that how she's pushed me to become the person that I am. And then I have an Inglés Sin Barreras little dictionary. It's a Spanish English dictionary. I remember as a child, my mom, when she arrived at the United States, she was trying to learn English. She couldn't go to night classes because she was always working. And so she decided to invest in one of an Inglés Sin Barreras. I don't know, some of y'all may be too young to remember these commercials, but when I was 5 or 6, I remember seeing the commercials. I think everybody owned one. It was like the thing back then. So it just reminds me of her perseverance to try to learn English for my sister and I. I don't remember what the other objects are. I can't see those, but if you see, there's a graduation picture of me. That is a very important part of my life. I always think education is going to open doors. My parents always taught me that. I'm the first in my family to graduate from both sides of my family. And then I'm so excited, y'all. I told the team today's my last day as a grad student, so I'll be the first in my family to have a master's degree. So I included that picture just to remind me of my own perseverance. And then lastly, the Sarape stole that I received at Raza graduation at UNT. And so that just represents my culture, my ancestors, my community, and the people that are, that I do this for. So that's my cajita. I know it was super fast, but it doesn't have to be as intricate. It can be very simple, one box. I just found this at Dollar Tree at that time, and I thought it was cool. So
Yes, thank you, Ms. Martinez, for sharing. I think that your cajita seems very beautiful and very intricate, so we thank you for sharing. And so the way that Ms. Martinez shared her box is the way that we envision our in-person Saturday Academy, like our cajita workshop, to sort of look through, right? We all come with our little boxes or our little art of like whatever we created, and we share, right, those key things that are crucial to who we are. Like for Ms. Martinez, right, she had to share pictures of family because family is important to her, right? She also shared about her identity when it comes to the United States, right? She comes from a family of immigrants, so she felt that that was crucial to her upbringing or to who she is. So she put that in her box, right? But then also to Ms. Martinez, like education is super important. So she has several artifacts on there that have to do with her obtaining higher education or participating in, right, a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, all these different things. And she also included religion on there. So it's really whatever you want to share. But similar to Ms. Martinez's presentation of her own box, right? She's sharing a story of who she is or the things that have made her who she is right now, right? So when you're navigating through creating your cajita, sort of keep that same thing in mind. And Ms. Martinez provided a few more examples, right? This is not your traditional box, but it's sort of this idea of like my history or my story, or let me share with you about me. And so this person has pictures of their family, has pictures of motivational things where they went to school, right? Maybe this is like their migration story or the beginning of their migration story. And then this other person over here, also sort of, this is a traditional box, right? And she has a lot of pictures, right? She has other artifacts here. She has candles, right? She made it her own. And if we had her here present, maybe she would be able to tell you the story. But even by looking at it, right, you're like, family is really important to her, right? She's either from Utah or went to school in Utah because you see that on there. She also has like the Virgen de Guadalupe, or like this is like the Virgin Mary candle. So we know that religion is important to her. In the background, you see that she has some lipstick, right? So maybe makeup is something that is something she does as a hobby or brings her joy, right? But she sees that as being part of who she is, right? All of these different examples really showcase or really begin to tell the story of who these people are. And maybe even if we don't have these people here, right, you see a part of sort of their essence, right? Their personhood in these boxes, despite them not being here or not being physically here to tell us what the box is about. And these are a little bit more examples. Ms. Martinez did share that sometimes these boxes, right, when we think about them like in a little Altoid boxes, right, they're very travel safe or very much that you can travel with. So migrants would carry these little cajitas with them in order to sort of carry their family with them or to remind them of the reason for their migration, right? So these cajitas are very much rooted in this idea of storytelling, of identity, of personal history, right? Of the things that make you persevere. Let me see if there's another example. Okay, so before I get to this last one, or maybe I should keep it on this slide. For example, like as you're thinking about navigating through your cajita project, start asking yourself these questions, right? So it's like, what things are crucial to the composition of who you are, right? What sort of identities or celebrations or memories have shaped who you are, right? What is your personal story, or what are stories that you can tell that tell us more about who you are, or the reason that you're here, the reason that you persevere, that you're motivated to move forward, right? So for example, for myself, similar to Ms. Martinez, like I come from immigrants from Mexico. So growing up, my identity was largely shaped by the fact that my parents were immigrants to this country, right? My parents didn't speak my parents didn't speak English. We spoke Spanish at home. I was lucky enough to be able to travel to Mexico every summer. So part of my cajita will be this little muñeca. It's a little like traditional Mexican doll. I got this from from my parents' hometown in Mexico. I sort of keep it at my desk to remind me that the reason that or the things that motivate me are always my family and my culture, right? I'm very big on like everything that I do is to honor my family and my ancestors. So sort of this is a reminder of that. Like I keep it by my desk. So this will be one of my artifacts, right? And I am including it because being the daughter of immigrants is such a big part of my identity, of my personhood, on the reasons that I do the work that I do. So that's one of them, right? And so it's a simple item, or it's like an item, but it tells you a story, right? Or like another one, like for example, like Miss Martinez included her college graduation tassel. This is my high school tassel. I graduated in 2015. I included this one partly because I don't have my college one. I gifted that to my mom after graduation. That was the item that I gifted to her. But to me, education is a really big part of who I am and where I'm going. And I feel like my high school graduation was the first step to that because I was the first in my family to graduate from high school. I come from a long line of farmers who were not able to pursue education in any sense, right? Most of my family only finished middle school. So I feel that for me, I'm not only like a first generation college student, but I was the first in my family to graduate from high school. So I will probably be including my tassel. And then the last one, which is something different than the boxes that we've been seeing for me, is this book. It's called Borderlands by La Nueva Frontera. When I was sort of navigating my identity of being someone who comes from Mexican ancestry, but who was born in the United States, I had a lot of issues identifying or being okay with being this person that has this duality, right? I am both American because I was born in this country, but the way I was raised was Mexican because that's where my roots come from. And also like this book allowed me to gain a lot of language to be able to speak about my many dualities, right? Like I said, I'm the daughter of immigrants. I'm also Mexican American, or I like to call myself Chicana, right? I also identify as a person who is part of the LGBTQIA plus community. So that's also something that's sort of this duality, right? So this book will also be part of my cajita because it was so crucial to me understanding my identity and who I am. And it also motivates me because like every time that I feel down, it also just as a fun fact, I literally know this book like page by page. So if you were to be like, Ms. Hernandez, I'm reading this book and I'm trying to look for when she talked about XYZ thing, like I'll be able to tell you because I used this book so heavily in college as well when I was writing papers, when I was doing presentations, right? This book was very foundational, not only to my personal growth and development, but also I feel like my academic development, because I was able to use this book a lot through college. Literally wrote so many papers where I used this as the foundation for making my analysis. So there's multiple reasons why this book will be included, but I wanted to sort of share my thought processing in including the items so that you can see that the items don't just have to be pictures or they don't just have to be XYZ thing, right? This is really your opportunity to do with this whatever it is that you want, but the goal and the center of it is like who you are. Tell us a story of who you are or multiple stories that make up who you are in efforts of, like I said earlier, sharing our many differences, right? Because we truly believe that it's like, in order for us to really bring in this sense of community, this sense of family, right, that we hope that our Upward Bound program brings to you is really learning about each other. And we can't do that just by, especially during this virtual age, right? A lot of y'all don't like to share or turn on your mic, so you don't even get to see your beautiful faces. But hopefully this allows you to share in a different way than we haven't been able to do in a really long time. And if y'all have any questions, comments, or concerns, y'all can always email myself or Ms. Martinez or Mr. Contreras, and we will be gladly to help you. Like I said, if y'all need materials to be able to complete this project, please, please, please let me know, because materials will not be an excuse for you not to be able to complete your project the way that you wish. And I think that here the date is wrong. We're having our in-person session on the 24th. So as long as you bring it, no, it's not the 24th.
27th.
27th, sorry, numbers, but the 27th. So just bring it on that day and we'll arrange it in the sort of gallery style so that y'all don't have to worry about that. We'll take care of that, but just make sure you bring your completed box, or you email us beforehand your virtual box so that we can either get it printed off for you or that we can have it showcased somehow if we like make a slide or something. But make sure that if you are having it done like virtually, to email it to us by that Thursday of that week so that we can figure out a way to like present it or like show it on the screen or something. But yes, I don't know if anybody has any questions, comments, concerns. I don't know if we still have time for that. I think we do, right? Yes. And I'll stop sharing so that I can see y'all, because I always feel weird about not being able to see all, not that y'all cameras are on, no shade, but you know, at least so I can see if you turned on your mic or something.
Ms. Thomas is throwing the peace sign to us, so.
I know. But I think that that's just her picture. See, I can't see y'all, so I don't know. Hello. See, lovely. Love that you turned on your camera. Love it. Is it? Oh, I should probably check the chat thing. Hello. Okay, I see y'all. Okay, I guess I got to call y'all out for y'all to turn on your cameras. White cheese. Okay, the virtual backgrounds. Okay, we see y'all. What is that animal in the background?
It's a hamster. Is it a hamster?
Is it a hamster? What? Your mic is off, Cecilia. We can't hear you.
Oh, it's an otter. Sorry.
Oh, see, that's what I thought it was with the little hat. That's so cute. Y'all are so creative. See, all this creativeness, I hope that y'all channeled it into your little boxes, into your little presentations. I'm excited to see what y'all create. Do y'all have any questions, comments, concerns about the project? No. No. Okay.
before we move on, before we go
Mhm.
on break, and Mr. Contreras, do you want to share your 3 objects or do you want to save it?
I mean, I can share just one.
Go.
So I'm growing out my hair, as yeah, many of you know, it's pretty long now. It's and the reason why I'm growing it is just to have a memory of my grandmother. So whenever because I mean, I was born in Mexico. So every morning when she got up, I always slept with my grandma in my grandma's bed. I was a grandma's boy, up to even 6 years old. Even whenever I went back and visit with her, just because I missed her, but every single time she woke up, she would wake up, comb her hair and then do two little braids to the side, and that's what I will be doing. So I'll be growing out my hair and to the point where I can, braid it and bring it here and stuff. So don't make fun of me. I'll grow my face will grow into my hair or something, but that's one. So I will be, having a picture of my grandma whenever she used to have her long hair. So that's one. And I mean the other one, that's the other thing. Altar. My grandfather was a very follower of the Virgin Mary. So I mean, his picture is there, with the scarf of A&M. Whenever I was going A&M, he was an Aggie fan, supporting me. But that's another one. But the other ones I can share on the 27th. I try to make it as good. I don't think I'll get it as good as Biz Martinez, but I'll try my best.
Thanks for sharing. So before we go on break, we have 3 minutes until we head out to break and then we get ready for Mr. Terry. Just want to thank everybody for being here again. Take your time to find those objects. Sometimes you don't realize that something can be so significant in your life and in your person. Like that little dictionary, I've had it for years, since I was probably like 6. I don't know how I have it, but it's here. It always sits in my desk. But go around your house, find something. If you can't find anything, that's okay. Find a picture of it online. We'll create something pretty cool with it. We'll take laptops so you can display it sort of science fair style. But also, as we move forward with Mr. Chavez and with Dr. Sanchez, pay attention to what they're talking about today. It's going to connect. It's all going to come together. We're going to be talking about understanding multiculturalism. He will be talking about intersectionality, which is like a big term to say that who we are as a person, there's multiple identities to who we are. There's different parts of who we are that intersect. I'm pretty sure Ms. Hernandez can talk about that in the whole presentation. She's good at that. But this will be like a sneak peek about identities, who we are, multiculturalism, understanding different cultures. Because when you enter college, whether you go to a large or a small college, whether you go to community college, whether you go to a 4-year or a private institution out of state and state, you are going to encounter different people with different thinking, with different opinions, with different cultures, languages, religious backgrounds, socioeconomic backgrounds. And all of those factors impacted who they are as a person and why they are that they are. So it's really important for you all to pay attention and start connecting the dots, or start thinking about, reflecting about, who am I as a person right now? We're constantly evolving, we're constantly changing, especially in college. College is a time where most students begin to experience those changes, begin to reflect on who they are as a person, and some of them decide to leave some of those traits, qualities in the past, and they decide to reinvent themselves because they become exposed to different people. They learn about other people, they learn about different ideas and opinions. And so that will be really awesome for y'all to learn with Mr. Chavez and with Dr. Sanchez, talking about imposter syndrome. We've talked about that. We've touched on that topic a couple times last summer, imposter syndrome, in our senior seminar class. But also, I think it's important to start you off early learning about ways to overcome imposter syndrome, because I'm sure when Dr. Sanchez will be covering that lecture, or sorry, not lecture, I'm in school mode. That presentation, you might identify, there might be some moments in your life where you felt like an imposter. So I'll leave you all with that note, and we are ready for break. If Mr. Hernandez, Mr. Contreras, or Mr. Douglas, you have anything else before we break out?
Just that Jennifer asked a question in the chat of how many items. So in the instructions, we sort of said 5 to 6. But if you want to do more than that, if you want to do less than that, I wouldn't recommend doing less than 5 maybe, just because we really want y'all to get into the habit of being able to share. Sort of, we're working on your public speaking skills, right? Because you'll be speaking to a group of about 10 of y'all, because we're having y'all in groups of 10. And we also want to develop your storytelling abilities. So I would say that 5 or even 4, if you really can't find 5, but really try to share as much or as little as you are comfortable with. But I would recommend for a good story or a good chunk of you being able to speak, I would say 4 to 5, 4 being the minimum to share. So just wanted to add that on there just in case y'all are not on the chat. I will be monitoring the chat after this. So asking y'all or trying to keep y'all engaged on there. So yeah. And we'll be here if y'all have any more questions during break, or I'll be here during break if y'all have any more questions, comments, or concerns. Yes.
And those items will be returned to you. I know if your parents, sometimes parents have like all these awesome like relics that you had no idea about. Assure them they will be returned and they will be stored safely while we put them in the gallery. We will take pictures just for our own recording, and then we can have those in our own archives, but they will be returned, just so there's no anxiety about that.
And also feel free to be as extra or as minimal as you want. I do arts on my free time, so I will be on the extra side. But you don't have to be extra. You can be minimalistic or find a balance. But I'm just letting y'all know, be prepared, because I'm a show out on this project. So not that it's a competition, but I feel like I need to motivate y'all somehow. Like I'm gonna come in with my box and it's gonna be popping. It's gonna show out, like I said. But yes.
So we have a break up until 9:55, Mr. Contreras. Alrighty, so we'll hang around here if y'all need anything from us.